Welcome, everybody, to the Life Caddy podcast with Dr. Mike. Dr. Mike, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Oh, I'm fantastic. I'll tell you some current events. Guess what?
Tell me what.
As of last week, because of you, after 29 years of daily usage, I do not smoke weed anymore. 29 years, bro.
Ooh, you gotta move that way. Just gotta move that way. There you go. Sorry. Come on. Congratulations.
No, 29 years, bro. I started smoking weed when I was 18 years old, and I love it. I smoke every single day, or I smoked every single day. I used it as an excuse because I'm diagnosed bipolar 2, but I didn't know that when I was 18. I only got diagnosed when I was 24. So for 6 years prior to that, it was just because I wanted to get high all the time. Then after I started saying, you know what, this helps me with my it helps me with my anxiousness, helps me with my, because I have anger inside and toxicity inside. So
congratulations, though.
No, but let me tell you, I used it as a leveler because I had such a range of emotions all the time that I used it as something to keep me almost like monotone or on a level. And as of late, I've been thinking it's maybe my lungs won't work as well when I get older, or maybe one day I'll have emphysema or something like that, or I can't remember things anymore because I smoked too much weed. I can't remember. Some of my friends who've known me for so many years have said, Marco, you think maybe daily usage is not the thing? And I've always said, no, so hard-headed. But then as of last week, because of you, I said, you know what? He's right. And that's it. Basta. I feel fantastic. I feel like $1 million.
We're going to bring you into the office like a wet rag, and we're going to wring you out.
I got to start doing, like last week we talked about all the things that we were supposed to do, but then this week I didn't do any of those things.
So now you're going to fortify.
And then because of that, because I'm not as hungry, because I'm not reaching for garbage. I've been eating like a champion. Like if I tell you I've been eating like a champion, protein, clean, no bread, no white flour, no sugars, clean. That's been since the weekend, since Sunday. That's been.
So, I mean, kudos to you. But let me ask you one important question. How many chemicals, besides smoking, how many chemicals are each one of us exposed to on a daily basis? How many? Give me a number. What do you think that number is?
I believe that we are exposed to about 20 different chemicals a day.
20. He said 20. Anybody else? Matt, what do you think? How many? Give me a number.
46.
We are exposed to 700,000 different chemicals every single day.
Oh my God.
When people come into my office and ask me questions and saying, why do I have to detox? What do I need to do? Why is this important? You're exposed, each and every one of you are exposed to 700,000 chemicals. And this is from everything that we do. And it's not including the individuals that smoke or the individuals that decide to do drugs or other biochemicals. That's what we're exposed to on our day-to-day life. 700,000 chemicals come from a lot of toxicity. And where do all those chemicals go? They get synthesized in the liver and your kidneys. And this is where detoxification is absolutely crucial. So today I want to talk about what things can you avoid to mitigate some of these toxicities. And I think you brought a prop, and we won't show it's like a coffee cup. We won't show the brand because we don't really want to go there, but here's a coffee cup. Now,
who went there? Matt?
Here's an empty coffee cup. I don't know who it's from.
Matt.
Are you drinking from coffee cups? Right? Because that's what everybody does. Everybody goes to the local coffee shop, gets their coffee, and then heads to work. Forget about the toxins that are in the actual coffee, because that's a whole different can of worms. It's non-organic coffee, most definitely. I don't care where you go. But most importantly, what is lined in the coffee cup? And they actually did a research study, and they found that BPA, bisphenol A, which is banned and shouldn't be around, is actually ending up in the coffee cup, which is another major toxin that causes heart disease, cancer. It's huge.
So what's the answer? Bring your own cup.
The answer is?
Bring one of those. Yeah. I have one actually here somewhere. I gotta look for it. I have one that
You give them your cup, they rinse it with hot water, and then they put your coffee in it. And guess what? I think you're better off.
and you should try to find a coffee shop that serves organic coffee, which might be hard. Especially if you're used to go to Tim's and you're used to going to McDonald's. If you go to the drive-through, you're no luck. You have to go into the store. Here's my solution to the problem: make your coffee at home. Like Kevin O'Leary says, why are you paying $5 for a coffee when you can make it at home for $1? Economically, it doesn't make sense. Never mind. Okay, not never mind, but included with the toxicity is how much they're charging you. So they're charging you to give you toxins.
Yes.
Better to stay at home
Yes, 100%.
and do it yourself. That's what I do. I rarely drink coffee outside of my house because I have my little shout out to Lavazza, Andrea. I rarely drink coffee outside of the house because of this reason. I want organic coffee. I use my organic coffee.
Thank you, by the way, for the Lavazza organic coffee beans. Very important. And yes, you grind it yourself. You know what's going on. You can control the filtrations. You don't get the bleached filters. You get the unbleached filtrations that you use for your coffee. And then you actually brew some really healthy coffee. And it's not going to lead to some major toxins and harsh on your body.
Coffee tip. Here's what you need to do to your coffee or your coffee cup, and because most people don't have the machine that I have, which the coffee comes out bolenta, even if the coffee cup is cold, like the little espresso cup is cold,
So hot.
it comes out hot. Because I have one of those machines that does it for you. You don't have to do anything. It's like a little capsule, like an espresso. That's a bad word, an espresso, but it's called a Lavazza Blue machine. And anyways, the coffee comes out beautiful. But coffee tip for anybody who uses a Breville or one of these other ones that does the coffee comes out almost cold. The reason why it's cold when you put it in your coffee cup is because the ceramic is cold. So if you get a thing of boiling water and you put your coffee cup inside the boiling water, number one, you sterilize the cup because you might be using detergent that's no good. Number two, the ceramic gets really hot. So when the coffee hits the ceramic, it's hot too.
So where are these coffee cups ending up? I mean, if I think the solution for our listeners is this: bring a coffee cup, preferably stainless steel. You want to get a stainless steel cup. You want to bring a thermos cup that's stainless steel. You pass it to the person in the drive-thru. They're going to quickly rinse it up, put your coffee in the way you like it, and then you take it to go. And then that is one way that you can mitigate not only the pollution in the environment, where are these cups ending up, but definitely a huge noxious chemical that now are linked in the actual cups. And it's not that they're sprayed with BPA. It's that the BPA is ending up in there through the lines or somehow through the factory. This is where it is, part of the glue or some sort of byproducts that are there. So really stop drinking from a paper cup.
Dr. Mike, do you eat airplane food?
This is a good question. The answer is no, never.
State it as a statement for viral purposes, please.
Do not eat airplane food. Did you know you can bring your own food on an airplane and they cannot deny you? Did you know that?
Yeah, of course you can bring your own food.
So this is what
How about those people who bring food on the airplane? They bring like eggs or like egg salad sandwiches, and the whole place stinks. No, we religiously bring food on the plane with us because our kids don't eat the food on the plane. They don't like it.
No way.
So we bring food on the plane with us. Like my wife has a backpack filled with food. You know those little steel bento boxes?
Yeah,
like we talked about before for the kids' lunches? Filled to the brim with stuff. We have like 4 of them we bring with us.
So do not store your food in plastic containers. This is a note that I want everybody to understand. The hormone disruptors that are in the plastic containers are really going to harm your kids.
Yeah, but aren't there good ones? Like, aren't there good plastic containers that you can use?
No, there's none.
Aren't there like
you want to get glass and you want to get stainless steel. Your wife is smart. That's why she has your kids on the stainless steel bento boxes.
Yes, for sure. But there's always toys and there's always plastic things that the kids would use, like the bottles and stuff.
The lids are plastic.
They say no, but they say they say that those bottles that the kids use, the ones that the babies use, are BPA free or something like this.
Well, BPA has been banned for a long time in the country. So they can't have BPA. The problem with the BPA is that BPA is just there. So who's actually testing to see if BPA ends up there? And this is what happens.
So no
when we're
matter
having-
what, it's kind of like a marketing ploy.
So let's not focus on the BPA aspect. Let's focus on the other hormone disruptors that the plastics actually exhibit. Because this is what happens. This is what's going on in our society today. The plastics are actually hormone disruptors. And we're really having a big problem with this. So the lids that are plastic really don't touch the food. So if you put it on a stainless steel, or if you put it on, like you said, a glass container, then it has a plastic top that seals it. That's good enough. So on the airplane, you cut up your meat, you cut up your cheeses, and you bring it on the airplane, and you bring your healthy snacks, your healthy crackers for your kids, and healthy treats, and you bring that, and it's like, all right, we're ready to roll.
Let me ask you about, because I'm since I've been talking to you, I've become a little bit obsessed with what I'm eating. I watch my kids, what they're eating, and then I'm going crazy, especially bacon. Like I went. Oh, by the way, I went to a butcher, and I asked him about pork, the pork that they serve. I have an all natural butcher that I see down in Queen East, and
He's butcher.
fuck, I can't, Epicurean something. I can't remember. It's next door to the place I get my framing done, so I can't remember the name. But I talked to the chef,
Great.
to the butcher, and
I love little butcher shops that actually condone actually using local, organic.
he
natural.
says that there's a farm in Ontario that has pork that roams free and only eats, chestnut seeds, all the things that are on the thing. They throw the food into the big area where they think, but it's not a pen. They're allowed to roam all over the property.
Good.
So he said, "Come and get your bacon from me." So, but why I bring this up is because I'm going a little bit crazy with all this stuff, and my wife says, "You're becoming an orthorexia." I think that's what I think that is. I might have to look it up. Mike, you might have to. I mean, Matt, you might have to look that up for me, because remember I wrote it to in the chat. I wrote, "Let's talk about this." My wife wants to talk about, or I think it's called orthorexia. It's where you become so crazy about everything that you're eating, and you think so much about what you're eating that you start to not eat.
It's similar to like anorexia.
It's like anorexia, but it's orthorexia because you become so obsessed with all
health.
about the
About
health.
healthy eating in such
Yeah.
a way that you want it.
So then you end up not eating anything because you think every single thing has some sort of contaminant.
So you're
or toxin
actually
in it.
so hold on a second. So you're insulting me.
You might be an orthorexic, but you eat, so you eat a lot.
So I practice. So here's the deal. Everybody comes into my. So I see a lot of people on social, and it makes me laugh. There are people who are professionals that actually treat people, and then on their own personal social, they're out eating pizza and pasta, and they're just not practicing what they preach. Those people make me laugh. It's like, hey, Marco, you got to go on a diet, but I'm gonna go out tonight, and I'm gonna eat chips, I'm gonna eat pasta, I'm gonna eat pizza, but don't look at me because my body's very different than you. Listen, there's one thing that's important, and I think we don't want to be hypocritical. Because if you're going to be a hypocrite, you're going to find yourself into trouble. I am not that individual that's going to be out eating what I tell my patients and you not to eat.
Yeah, you practice what you preach.
100%. So if I'm eating grass-fed, it's 100% grass-fed. If I believe that pork is more toxic and it has a lot of, there's been a lot of alterations in the actual genes of pigs, it's because I have research to back that up. If I say, for example, you should not eat corn because corn is going to increase your weight, your adipose tissue, and it's definitely not good to feed cattle because it's going to increase their weight and size. I went to a butcher, speaking about a butcher, and he said to me, "This is grass-fed." I said, "Is it 100% grass-fed?" He goes, No, I don't like buying 100% grass-fed. It tastes like garbage. They have to give it grain or potato. I said to him, but hold on a second. So because it tastes like garbage or because you can't get it? Because I'm a paying customer.
A lot of people will tell you that though, Michael, that grass-fed, grass-finished is very gamey and tastes a little bit. So they say grass-fed, grain-finished.
Yeah, but this is what I want. Doesn't mean it's for the masses. I believe.
Yeah, but isn't that better than grain-fed, grain-fed?
you're still contaminating the animal and giving it what it shouldn't be eating. If I give you something that you shouldn't be eating, how is that going to make your body? And I can check your blood work. If I tell you, hey, let's say, you know, you have diabetes in your family, and I say, let's eat this abundance of sugar, and let me check your blood work 2-3 weeks later. What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, I understand. I'm not.
So you're going to feed an animal.
I'm not arguing with that point. I'm just saying that the taste. You got to eat for taste too. You can't just eat for health. You got to eat for taste too.
For sure. Have you ever had a ribeye grass finished?
Well, ribeye is different.
Have you ever had
so you just
good fat.
put a lot of salt on it. You're good.
Yeah, no, but a ribeye grass fed, grass finished animal, you'll see and you can tell. I went to my brother's house this weekend, and he said to me, he said, I got grass fed. I paid a lot of money. I knew you were coming over. I got grass fed. He said, but I don't have a grass fed ribeye. Do you mind bringing one over? Because my son, like you've made him obsessed with your grass fed ribeye steaks that you make him. So I said, okay. So I brought one of my ribeye steak just for him, because he said he had the grass fed steaks. I brought in a grass fed steak ribeye. So we cut them open. We put them on top of the tray, and I have a picture of it. And it's interesting because the steak that I put grass fed, grass finished, the one that I get from Heritage Cattle, which are the best, they're in Peterborough. I put it side by side with his grass fed steaks. And what he had one T-bone. So he had two T-bones and a couple filet mignons. And then he had a strip loin. Put them together. It was very interesting when you analyze this. And I looked at him and I said, these aren't grass fed, grass finished. He goes, no, they're grass fed. I'll show you my bill. What are you talking about? This is grass. I said, do you see the color of this steak that I just brought? I said, do you see the color of the fat? It's yellow. Oh. That fat is yellow. That has high omega-3s. It's better for you. And it's actually anti-inflammatory because that animal is just eating grass. And then you compare it to the other steaks that he had, and the fat is white. Now, why is it white, Marco? Why is it white?
Okay, no, I get it. And I'm sure our audience is astute enough to understand what you're saying. I got it. But my question is to you. You told me not to eat. You told me to only eat lean beef. Lean beef. I want to eat beef with fat in it because it tastes better. So are you saying that if I eat if I eat grass-fed, grass-finished beef, I can have ribeye because the fat is actually good for me?
Absolutely. And the ribeye grass-fed, grass-finished steak compared to the ribeye, when you look at the saturated fat content and how much that saturated fat is actually going to affect you, the grass-fed, grass-finished ribeye steak actually has, first of all, it's going to have a significantly less amount of the saturated fat, number one. Number two, that fat is actually going to be much healthier for you. We know that today. We know that it's all about the fats. We know it's all about the good fats. But there's good, and then there's bad. And then we don't even want to talk about the ugly.
No. Let's not talk about the ugly. Let's just talk about the fact that when this week, my wife went to the store, got a grass-fed, grass-finished ribeye. She did.
Nice.
And we cooked one. It was expensive. It's obviously more expensive than the rest of them. It's very expensive. But we cooked one. Now watch. You cook one, big one, right? You cook it nicely.
Yeah, you want to have it medium. You want to have it bloody.
No, not for my kids. Can't be too bloody.
Too bloody?
My kids, and then you have to char the fat a little bit so it's a little bit more
crispy.
Mm-hmm. So that's what. But then, so I do it bloody. Yeah, I do it bloody. But I
medium.
Hold on, no, I cut it, right? I do it bloody. Then wrong hand. I cut it like this in strips, and then I throw it back into the pentola a little bit
to just cook it up for the
give it a little bit more. So even though it's red inside, it on the outside doesn't see as red, right? And then 3 strips each, 1, 2, 3, and they eat it up like nice. I have 3 kids, 1 ribeye, 3 kids.
Beautiful,
right? And it works out nicely. So even though it's more expensive, I don't have to buy 4 steaks for my family. I only have to buy 2 or 1 in this case because I wasn't eating that day. 1 in this case. Even though you buy less, if it's better.
Quality,
higher
protein content.
You don't have to buy as much.
So you're going to have a higher protein content, higher omega-3 content. The fat's going to be better for you, and you're going to have more of the absolute essential minerals, B12, iron, selenium, zinc. You're going to have it all inside that particular sort of beef. So yes, you're absolutely right. Less is more in this particular instance. Another huge factor is that, you know, go to the actual farm itself. They actually want to do business with you. The grocery store, for example, you go to the grocery store, the steaks, the company that I sort of get
They
my
have to
beef
sell
from,
wholesale. There's no
they're
margin.
$30 a steak, but I go buy them from them and it's like $10, $12. I
Yeah.
mean, it's significant.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. And it's, a friend of mine, Cameron, he's always telling me he's got this farm in Halliburton, and he's always telling me, buy a cow with me, buy a cow with me, buy a cow
Let's
with me.
do it.
Right. And, I want to I just couldn't
You don't have
commit
the-
because
you
not
don't have
because
the
of the money. I just couldn't commit because I don't know.
freezer space.
I
Yeah.
don't know if it's going to be good. I don't know. I don't want to buy a half of a cow and then it's not good, or, and then I find out something. And so I'm going to have stuck with a freezer full of, so I just don't do it. But maybe that's an answer. Maybe the answer is going to the farm, purchasing half the cow, sharing it with a couple other people.
You want to
getting my
get these
cuts.
sustainable, you want to go to these sustainable biodynamic farms.
Mm-hmm.
A big question is, my son came up to me and he said, "Hey dad, I think I heard about this information." I said, "What did you hear about in terms of, greenhouse gases and what's happening?" He said, "I heard that eating beef is actually the worst thing you can possibly do for the environment." And I looked at him and I said, "You're actually given wrong information." I said, "Let me explain. If you buy regular beef, if you're going out there and buying regular cattle, yes, this is actually a big problem. And it's the number one contributor to greenhouse gases. I get that. And this is where we have a big problem. If you're shopping organic and biodynamic, and this sort of biodynamic means something, you want to actually utilize this. And if they actually do grass fed, grass finished, and they don't feed it and alter what this animal is supposed to poop, and they just feed it grass, you're actually helping the environment.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know
But
this.
what's the alternative? The alternative is now you buying fake meat. Tell me about the packaging that's involved in fake meat, all the processing, all the
my
toxins,
God.
all the chemicals.
styrofoam and the plastic.
Tell me. We don't know this yet because this is fairly new. And the research hasn't come out because they have research of over 50 years for actually cattle. And so this greenhouse gas information is coming out. But tell me how much greenhouse gases will be emitted in the next 10 years just to produce a fake piece of meat. Listen, guys, stop eating the fake meat. It's not worth it. If you're a vegan or vegetarian, really look at your levels. I saw a patient in my office. He was a 13-year-old boy turning 14 that same day on his birthday. You know what he told his mom? I want to go see it. I want to go see Dr. Mike for his birthday. He came to see me on his birthday. 14 years of age. I looked at this young man. He looked at me. He said, "Doc, I've been a vegan my entire life. I want to know if what I'm doing is right." Can you believe this?
Wow. Great
No,
kid.
it was a wow factor. I mean, hey, 6'2",
Great kid.
6'2" kid. I said to mom, I said, "You're doing a great job. This young man is 14 years of age. He's taller than me." I said, "He's growing quite well, supplementing." I did his blood work. What do you think was wrong with his blood work?
Low iron.
Low iron, low B12, low vitamin D. In fact, very, very critically low. So this is what's happening with these
But how
individuals.
come that's such a contradiction in terms, though? How can he grow so tall and look so healthy and then have all those?
He's actually not healthy. It's not this. The idea is define health, Marco. What is health?
I think health is when you're not deficient in the vitamins and the enzymes you need in your body to produce.
For sure. And how do you feel in the morning when you wake up? Are you, so when he came to see me, he said, "Doc, after I go play sports or do something, I'm tired." My friends have noticed, I've known them the last, little while. They've said, "I'm subdued." He's taken out of situations. He actually can't find himself in certain situations. And he actually doesn't have energy to even laugh. And so I'm looking at this individual and I'm saying, okay, look, besides doing, I can just quickly do a buccal swab and find out what we need to do with this individual. And maybe he doesn't have the methylation process, but is eating fake meat the right answer? Or are we going to have to just start shooting this individual up with giving him iron supplements, B12? And I looked at him, I said, "What do you want to do?" Because I'm not forcing somebody who's a vegetarian and converting them. This is not what I'm doing. We're actually going to look at what's probably the best option. And I said to him, I said, what do you think we should do? After talking to him about the results, you know what he said to me? He says, I don't have any objection to eating meat. I said, so you will eat
Who
meat?
made him be a vegan? His parents.
Well, I mean, look, I mean, he's 14 years of age. He's going to
Parents.
do what he's want to. I mean, if he's going to start
His parents were vegans. Can you answer the question? God damn it. Was his parents vegans?
not parents, but it's a little bit too much. There's too much information being divulged in this. So we don't
Okay,
want
but
the patient to
what I'm
single
trying to
himself.
get to is kids don't eat. They don't go out and shopping and grocery shopping on their own. Kids eat what their parents feed them. So,
Correct.
okay. So,
So what are
Let's
we
just
going to tell
leave
the
it.
guy to go eat some burgers?
no, not burgers, but go eat good steak.
So, but his biggest concern was the environment. These youngsters, their big concern is the environment and the future that they actually are going to live on this planet. And they want to make it a healthier, happier place. So educating individuals and telling them, so look, if you get grass-fed, grass-finished beef, this is how you're going to actually help the environment and help you as well. When he was actually asking me to basically prescribe him beef,
Yeah, he wanted you to tell me eat meat.
I was baffled, and I said, "Wow, he already knows what's wrong with him."
Was he low in vitamin D?
Yes,
Are Canadians getting?
most people are actually.
Most people are low.
90% of the patients that come into my office are low in vitamin D, unfortunately, and the
So
only way
you
they're
would say-
not is they're supplementing.
So let me ask you the question. So again, so we have a reel here. Are Canadians low in vitamin D?
If you don't supplement with vitamin D and you live in this country, you're in deep trouble.
Oh, wow. So that means that you're truly not getting enough vitamin D because you're not getting the sun enough, because we
Look where we
live in
live,
this.
Marco.
I know. I like this morning I saw a video about the sun and the 5 things you need for mental health. And one of them is you need sunlight every day. And we don't have sunlight I mean, there's a little bit of sun today, but when I woke up this morning, there was no sun. So they say every time you get up in the morning, go outside and get some sun. What sun? We don't have sun.
And even if there was sun, though, let's actually. I want to add to this. This is.
But can you get vitamin D some other way besides sotolingua? Besides that way, like that red thing, that red kala thing. That
Hold on one second. We got to make a very important point. Even if you went into the sun and you had to get vitamin D, you'd have to be pretty much fully nude, maybe having a Speedo on if you're a male, and getting into the sun, and it has to be between the hours of 10 and 2. In the 10 and 2 hours, 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock. You basically got a few hours to go when the sun is the most active, and you have to be completely nude. And so I had one patient come back from Mexico. He was there for 2 weeks. This man was charred from the top of his head to the bottom of his toes, basically fell asleep on the beach every single day, skin burned to a crisp.
that's not good.
It's definitely not good. But I mean, what do you think his level of vitamin D was?
Pretty high.
That's what you think, right? So I measured his vitamin D. I was baffled by the results. His vitamin D came back a week later. I looked at his level. He was significantly and severely deficient in vitamin D. And I asked him, did you put sunscreen on? He said no, because sunscreen blocks the absorption of vitamin D, because we absorb it through the sun. Some individuals with darker skin from certain parts of the world, and we'll talk specifically about Italy because that's where my family is from, and that's where your family is from. Some people have light skin. Some people have darker skin, especially from the Calabrian side.
Yeah, when you have darker
and
skin.
the Sicilian side. And they actually have natural skin pigmentation that allows them to block the UV from the vitamin D.
Just
And
like
guess
black
what?
people. That's why during COVID, most people who were vitamin D deficient were black people, because black people have a darker pigmentation, so that they don't take in the UV and
Absorb it as
absorb
much.
it. Yeah, absorb as much.
Vitamin D deficiency, and even if this country was Florida and we had sun all day long, it's yet to be determined if this was be something.
How do I get vitamin D without? How do I get vitamin D? How do I get vitamin D?
Well, you're not going to go in the sun.
Okay, not in the sun. How do I get vitamin D aside from the sun?
Most people think they're going to go on vacation and sit on the beach and fall asleep on the beach,
Okay.
right?
How do I get vitamin D? Do I take drops?
If you live in this country,
Yes,
you need to supplement with vitamin D.
drops. So I need to go to the store. I need to go to nature.
I like the drops. They make capsules. There's capsules of vitamin D's. There's sublingual vitamin D's. There's chewable vitamin D's. I like the liquid vitamin D. A good product that you can get is, like we talked about, is D drops is really good. They've been one of the first.
D drops. I think someone in your office gave me a bunch
We
of
gave you some.
samples
Yeah,
for the
they drop
kids.
off a bunch of samples for the kids.
And are those ones that they gave
They're
me
from
for the
lanolin,
kids? But the ones
they're
hold on,
lanolin.
hold on.
It's from sheep.
The ones
So you
that
got to understand what that is.
the ones that you gave me in the office, the ones that are for the kids, are those good for me too?
Yes, of course.
Oh, great.
You want to take vitamin D with vitamin K2. It adds the absorption and you get it into the bones where it needs to go. Now, vitamin D is a pro-hormone, very important for hormone functions. I see a lot of patients with hormone deficiencies. We talked about several times about testosterone. As soon as I measure a male's testosterone level, I go right to his vitamin D. And guess what? When it's low, the vitamin D is low as well.
Yeah.
And you want to look at immune health because you mentioned something about COVID. You mentioned something about any kind of viral load or infection. You want to look at the vitamin D status because the vitamin D status is directly proportionate to how you're going to fight off viruses.
I think my kids are low in vitamin D. Even though my wife goes around daily and gives them all drops, I think they're low in vitamin D. We touched upon earlier about me quitting to smoke cannabis. And I'll tell you the number one reason why I'm quitting to smoke cannabis, besides all those, it's the low testosterone. I had a question because someone said to me yesterday, he's like, here, you don't smoke anymore? Here, take these THC gummies. Right? And I was like, no, I don't want to go down that road because I think, and you're going to maybe tell me the truth, I think THC is the part of the cannabis that lowers the testosterone. Am I right?
So there's many different attributes related to low testosterone and lowering testosterone in the body. And the most important is there's a lot of biochemicals that are currently that we spoke about that are in society right now that are actually contributing to our lower testosterone. One is what you just mentioned. However, there's many other, and there's a multitude of different things that contribute to this. Most importantly, how do we keep our testosterone up? So mitigating some of these toxins and these hormone disruptors, yes. But
Lots of sex.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yes. Have more sex, increase your testosterone, build more muscle, work out more at the gym, and you will see huge, huge differences in your testosterone.
Eat truffles. Truffles increase the production of testosterone. Not just because I'm in the truffle business, just because I've read this. So you know what I had for breakfast this morning?
That was my favorite thing I researched.
I had 3 eggs this morning with black truffle crema, mushrooms, spread all over. That's why I was 5 minutes late, because I said I can't leave the house without eating something.
Good for you.
And I was hungry because I'm eating less, so I was hungry. And I thought to myself, if you don't eat something right now and you don't eat some protein and you don't get some mushrooms and some truffles in you, you're going to have low energy, and then no one will know that you stop smoking weed because you're going to be like, almost like you smoked a joint, right? But I don't have low energy. I'm fucking... Actually, in fact, normally at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I would hit a wall. I would hit a wall, and I would have to drink coffee, like at least 2 coffees in the afternoon, because I was hitting a wall. I was getting tired at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And yesterday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, guess what? I went to go research private trainer because I wanted to go work out. And I was like, I don't have anybody to work out with. And I was far away from my tennis club, so I didn't have anywhere to go. So I was in Yorkville, and there was a guy going to private training or personal training. And he goes, why don't you come with me to personal training? I go, no, I can't. I don't have time right now, but I wanted to work out. I really wanted to work out. So it's changing. It's changing. I think the thing that's important, I got to put down this pen because it's making a lot of noise. I think the thing that's very important is that you have to have a regimen and a routine in the morning, so that you take care of some of these things so you don't forget. You have, like, my wife does this. She has her little on the basin or on the counter in the bathroom. What's that called? Vanity. On the vanity in the bathroom, she has like a little section. That's her section, and she has her everyday oil. She has her drops, her things, all the things that she does on a daily basis. They're all there. So it's part of her. Like, she brushes her teeth, She washes her face. She puts the thing on. She takes her vitamins. She takes her things, and it's all there. So I think this is a very important thing to do for people out there. Maybe as your life caddy, I suggest that you develop a routine and a regimen so that if you don't do those things, you feel like you're missing something. You feel like, oh, I didn't do those things. And if you group them all together, you do them at once, then there's not a possibility of forgetting them. There's the vitamin D.
We're creatures of habit. I think creatures of habit, human beings are creatures of habit. We need consistency in our life. We feel balanced. And this is why you were continually smoking weed. And you felt that smoking the weed probably answered some of the deficiencies
It
you
was
had.
definitely habit.
So, but when you break a habit that unfortunately is not such a good thing for you, then you have to replace it. And we're sort of creatures of habit. We have to replace it with other things. So I think by eating is a good chance. Doing proper nutrition and taking the right supplements.
I want to do the cold plunge, or at least not even maybe not the cold plunge,
You
but
can
at
even
least
do a cold shower in the morning.
I did the cold shower this morning.
Good.
So
Face and head.
I did it all. So I washed my body like normal, do my hair, whatever, like wash my hair, whatever, and then I step out of the shower, turn it all the way up to cold,
Go right in.
and then poof, and it's like it's
Shock.
It's a shock,
The shock
but it
proteins
feels
are
so good. And I know this is very much a trend right now, this cold plunge thing, but it's so true. And I remember relatives of mine who used to say I take cold showers, and I those relatives were always the ones that were most happiest. I just specifically remember. I see patterns all the time. I do.
They only did cold showers because in Italy they don't have hot water.
That's pretty much why. So now that I'm not taking now I'm not doing my weed habit anymore, and that's what I felt was the thing that lowered my levels of anxiety. What are some natural remedies or natural things that I can do to lower my anxiety?
So I like a product called Pascal Flair. It's really good. It has passion flower or passiflora. Passiflora is extremely important. It's a really good herb. It'll balance out, and it's like this adaptogen. You've heard of adaptogens, and you probably heard of ashwagandha, which is another adaptogenic herb. It sort of balances you out. So when your cortisol's high, it'll bring it down. If your cortisol is low, it'll bring it up. Ashwagandha is an adaptogen, so it balances out your body's hormonal response that's actually going to make your body have a balance. And then there's other herbs that you can also take.
But in a pill form, like you go to the natural food store and get a pill, ashwagandha pill?
They're pills and they're drops. They're herbs. So they come in tinctures, or they also come in pill forms and capsule forms, whatever you like.
If you look, I'm gonna guarantee you by the time that this podcast airs or published, that Matt is going to have made notes on all the things that we've talked about, so that on the YouTube channel or on our website, because we have a website. Do we have a website? It's not ready yet, but we have a website being made. No, I have a website being made. All these remedies, all these things that he talks about have to be on that website.
We're going to get Marco some passion flower. Passion flower, lemon balm. How about lemon balm? You'll love it.
I like the idea.
Huge.
What's the deal with passion?
Well, what happens is that it balances your mood. It helps you because in the level of anxious state, in that big state, whenever our bodies change and our hormones decline, we get more anxious. This is usually what happens. It's always a result of the deficiency of some sort. An anxiety state is a result of a deficiency. Unfortunately, this is the truth. So in certain instances where maybe a hormone is lower, our anxious state is rising, and then we want to subdue this. Instead of subduing it with
You should go to the root cause.
drug, yeah, maybe you can actually trim it down. Maybe your cortisol is too high. And if your cortisol is too high, it's making you too aggressive. You're getting angry. Your weight's gaining. Now, what else can you do? You want to lower the cortisol, bring it down, and allow your body and use an adaptogenic herb to make that happen.
I feel so bad what I did last night. I was upset at my son because I get triggered by anybody hitting or being mean or yelling at my daughter. If anybody yells or hits or gets mad at my daughter, kids, no kids, my wife, anybody, I go nuts. It triggers me in the biggest way. So last night my son was mad at my daughter. They were fighting or they were arguing, and he went and he pulled her hair and she started crying, and he pulled it from the back seat. Pulled her hair like this from the back seat. Like we have 3 rows. So from the back seat, he pulled her hair and she's like, ah, and I saw it. Dude, I went nuts. We got out of the car. I went to the back, and I didn't hit him. Obviously, I'm not going to hit him like hit him. But I went to go pull his hair a little bit. Like, how does this feel? And I just pulled this, went on his hair a little bit. I really started. And I got back in the front seat, and my wife looked at me, and she's like, "Dude, you okay? Like you okay?" And then after the kids went to bed and everything, she came to me. She goes, "Look, we got to talk about this." She goes, "I would rather you smoke weed and then not be so aggressive and so angry at your son, right?" And oh my God, I'm making me a little emotional here. I yeah. So it's the anxiousness, it's the anger and the toxicity inside me. All these things I need to get control of, because I can't be this out of whack person that hits his son. You know, I like, okay.
Raising kids are hard. Raising kids are hard, and it's also how we were brought up, and it's hard to erase your past. It's hard to erase what we did when we were kids. And listen, I've known you for a long time. You weren't a saint as a youngster.
No.
And so when we got disciplined as kids, it was very different today and how children are disciplined. And it's hard for us to be into that role. And sometimes we put ourselves in that moment and we want to chill out. My wife said to me one time, it was very interesting. She said, because my son did something really bad. And she said to me, she says, "I don't know about this tamed parental thing that you're doing, but it's not working." I looked at her because I'm more calm. I'm saying, "Son, do you think that was really good what you did to your brother? I think you need to self-reflect. That wasn't such a good decision. Maybe you got to think about what you can do next time in a better situation." This is how I'm actually.
Yeah,
and my wife's like, "That's not working."
No, I'm the polar opposite. I
No,
fly
but it took
right
me a
off the
long
handle.
time to get to that level.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying to you, it's going to take you some time, because, you know, they're young kids, but when they
know.
get older, they're going to do a little bit worsening.
Yeah. And my son is smart. You want to hear something so nice that
Let's get
happened?
on to the next topic.
Okay.
I think it's important.
Okay, well, yeah, since we're talking about the toxins that we face every single day and the toxicity in the air, I think dust is one of those things that are, you know, that's really contributing to the toxins there. So dust happens when you vacuum or you don't vacuum. What's your opinion on vacuuming? Do you
Get a
vacuum?
Dyson. Get a Dyson. That's it.
I have Dysons.
Get Dyson, because they got the filtration system that comes in. Because if you're just going to vacuum and it's going to come out one end and go to the other, you're just pushing that dirt to somewhere else.
Yeah.
Get a Dyson. That's it. Next. Of course, everybody's allergic to dust. Dust mites. It's a huge problem. And then when this gets into our respiratory tract, it causes irritation, and then it stimulates a
It gets
histamine.
stuck on your tongue.
I don't know about that.
No.
I don't know about the sticking.
No.
Sticking.
No. No. Listen, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you
Our
what.
tongue.
No, I'll
We
tell you
really
why.
Brush our tongue.
Because I sleep in the spare bedroom sometimes. When the kids all go to my room at night and they get into our bed, I have to get out of the bed because I can't sleep with 3 people in my bed.
Oh, I love Marco.
So I get out and I go to another bedroom, and the other bedroom doesn't have the humidifier. It's not cleaned as often. It's, you know, it's the housekeeper doesn't go into that room as much. So I wake up in the morning and my tongue is like white. It's gross. I get the tongue scraper. And also, I'm sure I have bad breath from it.
Okay, so hold on a second. I need to dice that down. I mean, I love what you bring, and this whole. First of all, it's not just the animation; it's all about you're solid. I love it. So, anyways, I've never had anybody tell me that they had dust on their tongue in my 20 years of seeing patients. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you. I just think it's interesting. Okay, so here's the deal. We're gonna break that down. First of all, the white thick coat on your tongue is not due to dust mites. The white thick coat on your tongue is the night before you drank some wine and you had some sugar and you have a yeast overgrowth in your body. So, for those of you listening, look at your tongue in the morning. If you have a white coat on your tongue, if you have a thick white coat, first of all, if it's thick, you got a problem and it's bigger than you think. Secondly, you can scrape it all you want because it is a contributor to bad breath. But scraping it, it's internal. You have something called candida. Candida is a
Yeast.
fungus. It's a yeast overgrowth in your body. It's growing everywhere else. And don't look down there because you're going to see it there too. So the point is there's really big antifungals that you can start doing. Oregano oil is a big one. Olive oil is a huge one as well.
Hallelujah.
So
Sorry.
that's so when we talk about, and then we're going to dice it up even further, and he's like, I have bad breath, and so you may have a bacteria overgrowth. So this is called SIBO, small intestine bacterial overgrowth, and this is actually an overgrowth of yeast and bacteria together. So be careful what you treat. You try to kill the bacteria, you're going to overproduce yeast. You try to kill the yeast, and you're going to overproduce the bacteria. So the key is get things in balance and really know what you're doing and get the root cause of the problem.
Go see Dr. Mike is the key.
Oh,
He is.
see somebody like me.
No, see somebody like you. You can, Mike.
Get it understood.
Actually, to be honest with you, it's really hard to get an appointment with Dr. Mike. So very successful at what he does. He's got a lineup of people trying to get in. So unless you know someone like me who can pull some,
we actually see everybody at the same time. It just takes time to go through people's history, their genetics.
yeah, but
their
you'll
blood
have a
work.
capacity. You can't see everybody.
I'm one man.
You're one man. You're only one man and one. I mean, okay. Anyways, we'll talk about that later. How about no seeds in watermelons? Does that mean that
It's definitely genetically modified. It's been altered, and now you're actually consuming a genetically modified organism. I have a problem with that because genetically modified organisms have been embedded to have resistant properties, so the pesticides don't have to be used as much, so they grow in harsh conditions. I don't like these types of fruits. I think fruit should be consumed as it was created. Simple,
not modified?
not modified.
So
Are you genetically modified?
watermelons without seeds is a big.
Get the seeds, spit them out, and call it a day, and make sure it's organic. Yeah, it's going to cost you $14, but it's not going to have detrimental effects on your health.
Now can I say what happened to me?
You got 2 minutes.
This guy's like this guy, our producer Matt over here, and the guy
Keeping us online.
he's like,
Are we done?
he's really no. I mean, there's more
We gotta go
here,
down
but
the list. We got a couple minutes.
can we talk about some other things? Does it always have to be number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10? Okay. Now I forget what I was going to say. Jesus. Sushi. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
2 thumbs down. You're not going to find a place, and you probably will, and maybe you do know a good sushi restaurant, and everybody thinks they have the greatest sushi restaurant. Here's the problem with sushi is the biggest problem is that the fish can be potentially contaminated with mercury. And then you might even say, well, I'm eating salmon. I'm not going for the tuna because the tuna has high mercury levels. The salmons have a lower mercury. That actually is farmed. It's a farmed salmon. The farm salmon is way worse than any kind of wild caught. So you want to definitely go to wild caught. You want to see Alaskan fished fisheries.
Okay.
You want to really stay away from. I just feel, in my personal opinion, it's going to be really hard for you to find a place that's going to source. And if you find it, then go for it. And please let me know. Wild source fish, no mercury contamination that has been tested. And for sure, the biggest problem is all in the sauce. You know that sauce that
soy.
you dip? You know that soy sauce that you dip in? Read the
soy
ingredients.
sauce.
There's 40 ingredients in soy sauce. 40. Number one ingredient is
love
gluten.
soy
Now,
sauce.
liquid gluten is the biggest ingredient, and sugar. You don't need it. Now, you can buy a tamari gluten-free. You can buy a tamari gluten-free soy sauce, and then you just bring it with you. So if you find that good sushi place that we're speaking about, go for it, but bring your gluten-free soy sauce with you.
Okay, but now you're gonna get invited to a sushi restaurant. You're
And it
gonna
has
want
to be organic.
You're
by the
gonna
way.
want
soy sauce has to be organic.
you're gonna get invited to a sushi restaurant. You're not gonna be that rude guy that doesn't say no, I'm not coming, or then you're gonna get there. You're not gonna eat. When you get there and you're at a sushi restaurant, what can you order that can lessen?
I would have
The
the avocado.
toxicity.
So have the California rolls. Stick to the avocados. The avocado rolls. You can do the shrimp roll. You can probably do the shrimp, but the one that doesn't have the tempura, that's fried in panko, which is genetically modified, high gluten. You definitely want to have the vegetarian rolls. But again, you're going to dip it into a soy sauce. Bring your own soy sauce. That's what I'll say. And do not absolutely do not consume the miso soup and do not consume the edamame because they're not organic soy. And if you're consuming non-organic soy, you're going to have a lot of problems. It's the number one genetically modified, pesticide sprayed, pretty much organism in the entire world.
That's going to be a great reel right there.
And thank you, Marco, for allowing that
tongue
reel
white?
to hit. Yeah, it's white.
Is it?
Yeah, it's white.
Fuck, I scraped it.
Yeah, you scraped it because
I have
you didn't get to the root cause of the problem.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get to the root cause of
one.
the problem. I don't know. Gut health,
for that?
probiotics.
So a good probiotic in your case that has a yeast overgrowth is you want to have something that has SAC-B, Saccharomyces boulardii. That's actually going to prevent and inhibit the overgrowth of yeast and protect your thick yellow tongue from happening.
Thick yellow tongue.
Just straight.
No, but you know what? Listen, the probiotic thing. There's a. You guys got to stop rushing me. I'm telling you, you got to stop rushing me. I'm not going to be rushed. Okay? Where before I could deal with it because I was half high all the time.
I'm bringing a ashwagandha.
I can't deal with it anymore. I got high anxiety.
I'm going to bring you valeriana. By the way, you know
Valerian root.
Yes, valeriana. Go buy the tea.
But doesn't that make you go to sleep?
It chills you out. So does smoking weed.
Oh no, smoking weed doesn't make me go to sleep.
Okay, so valeriana tea would actually.
Okay, but I make pancakes for my kids.
So do I. Every Sunday morning.
You use Bob's?
No, I make my own from scratch. Would you like to know the ingredients?
Yes.
I make the best pancakes in the world. The best, 100% organic, gluten-free, Dr. Mike approved, stamped. Brown rice flour, organic brown rice flour, organic grass-fed butter, pasture-raised, corn-free, soy-free eggs, one only is required. I get organic vanilla extract. I put a little bit of that in it just to give it some flavor. You definitely want to add Redmond salt in just a quarter teaspoon. And you definitely want to you have to put in baking powder. You got to get 100% aluminum free. You're not going to find organic. It's extremely hard, but you can get a naturally sourced baking powder. And you want to put that in. You have to put in about two and a quarter.
Yeah, you got to put in the baking powder to make them rise a little bit. Because everything that you just described, and I know.
Mix it up.
I'm a chef. No, I'm not a chef. But I cook.
You like to eat. You like to eat.
Can you help her, Matt? She's pregnant and she's carrying a bunch of boxes. Mikey.
Mm-hmm.
But Bob's is good though. Bob's organic, gluten-free pancakes. Bob's, Bob's, that brand Bob's.
I like the gluten-free. I love that. I love that company. It's organic. It's gluten-free. He's got some really good ingredients. With that particular instance, they're not 100% nut-free. But very good product, and shout out to and kudos to Bob's Red Mill because they really do a good job on keeping their products 100% organic. I'm all about 100% organic. Why? Why 100% organic? Do you know why? The most important reason for 100% organic is not about the genetically modified, because you'll see certain things that say GMO or non-GMO or GMO verified projects. 100% organic certifies that you're not getting the glyphosates that are actually going to be sprayed. Yeah, we're good.
Wow, we did 1 hour, and I didn't even realize. Well, you know what, Mike? We went through almost every single thing that we had to talk about. I think there's one more left, today. But almost everything. Good pace, good job. Really proud of you. Real proud of you. I just want to end off by saying that balance is key. Okay, everything you're talking about, and then we talked about that being orthorexic. I think balance is key. So I think it's very important that you still enjoy your life and you still do some things that maybe not the healthiest things, but that's balance. Because I think if you're super clean all the time, then you're going to be a little bit anxious and you're going to be a little bit worried about what you're eating all the time. So I think maybe 1 day a week, not a cheat day necessarily, but maybe 1 day a week where you just let her fly. You have your pizza, you have your, maybe I would hate to say go eat some junk food, but if it makes you happy and it makes you live
I disagree with you, Marco, and I don't like what you're saying. First of all, orthorexia is an obsession of people eating healthy because they're worried about consequence. And there's nothing wrong with worried about consequence. Look, people get life insurance every day because they're worried about consequence. I have life insurance because I'm worried about not leaving something
but
behind.
you ever see the movie What Something Happened to Polly? What's the one with the guy who was the risk adverse person, and he lived his whole life risk adverse, and his job was to determine for the insurance companies the risk associated with people's and then risk. So if you live your Mike, please, okay, you're a doctor and I understand.
Okay, let me.
But balance is the key to life.
Let me have
if you're
this.
Too much one way.
You do you. I do me.
Okay.
This is how it's going to roll. You got to do you, but you got to pretend that you're like me. But you're not going to be like me. But it's okay. But at least you can try to get there. And if I'm gonna flip on you, then you're gonna be like, even Dr. Mike is gonna flip. I'm not flipping. I don't fold.
You are a doctor.
I'm gonna stand tall. But I agree with what you're saying. But I also don't want to label people with having certain issues, and I don't like labels because I've seen a lot of anorexia nervosa patients, or like this new one that you mentioned about orthorexia. The idea is labeling. Whenever you label people, you put this negative connotation to them, and I think you're right in absolute what you're saying. Balance is key. Try to mitigate and reduce the exposures, and that's how we're going to get one with our bodies.
Yeah, you can't be 100% all the time. But that said, let's end this beautiful podcast. It was a great job you did, Mikey. We're getting really, really good at this. I think you would agree.
Love you, Mike.
Thank you to our sponsors.
Thanks,
We
Matt.
don't have a sponsors yet, but Truffle Kings, Apple Med Clinic. Okay, everybody, thank you very much, and goodbye.